So we're here at the J Davidson Stadium in the aftermath of Altrincham's 3-1 win over Braintree Town in the Vanarama National League. Phil, that game had everything. What did you make of it?
Yeah, first half I thought we were very good. Some really good entries into the final third. If the last pass was a little bit more accurate or the timing of the run was a little bit better, I think we scored a couple more goals. I thought the goals we did score were of a decent quality. So where Regan's got down the side, a little bit like the United goal last night with Garnacho and Xerxes' little tap in, you get down the side of your fullback, which we identified would be a decent opportunity for us to do that against a young up-and-coming fullback who they've had in on loan from Luton. I think he plays a little bit higher up at times as well, so we felt Regan could really exploit him, and he did that time. And Noob's Johnny on the spot for his tap-in, and then the penalty. Noobs has got there first, he's reacted quickest, hasn't he, and grabbed us a penalty. Regan's dispatched beautifully, and then Joe gets his goal in the second half from a really good counter-attack.
Well, Altrincham started quickly. Alex Newby scored 8 minutes in. Just how important was it to start quickly this afternoon?
It's huge. At every game you want to start quickly, especially when they've travelled so far. You want to be on the front foot, put them under pressure. But listen, although Braintree are a part-time team, they travelled down the night before. They've done it correctly. They've got a decent squad there. I mean, look at the big man up top, Akindi, still doing it, isn't he? He's a real nuisance today. He's so difficult to play against. You don't get many centre forwards of his size, physicality, experience and know-how. So full credit to our centre backs for putting on a good display to keep him fairly quiet all game. But yeah, overall I was really happy with how we performed throughout the game.
Well, Regan Lenny scored the penalty to double Altrincham's lead inside half an hour, but your side have struggled to get that second goal in the first half a lot this season. It was massive to get it today. Yeah,
I think you're right, yeah, and I don't think we've struggled to get the second goal. I think teams make it very difficult for you, but look at our home record, it's very good, so I wouldn't say struggle is a word I would use, particularly at home. I think we've been superb. I think we've overcome a lot of difficult opponents, and these have been on a great run like ourselves. I don't think they've been beat in 5 or 4 games. So although they're at the opposite end of the table to us, it was a really tricky fixture. It was one that it was very reminiscent for me of when we were in the National League North and we had FC United, a really close game where both teams are at the opposite end of the table, and FC United, everyone was probably thinking we were going to go there and just turn them over, and they put a real big fight on. We had to come from behind. Similar time of year, and it felt the same today, and we had to win all of our personal battles as you have to do, and I've been singing the lads' praises about that side of the game more so than anything. We're creating, look at some of the, you won't feel it today when you've watched that in terms of some of the technical outputs that we've put on display there in terms of the final third entries, the build-up play, definitely in the first half more than the second. But the fight, the desire, the togetherness, the physicality against a team that probably would have unstuck us a couple of seasons ago when we were probably part-time or just transitioning to full-time, that their physicality probably would have upset us, but we stood up to it, we won our battles, and we were still able to play, and that's why we've come out on top today.
Well, the first half was extremely end-to-end, and that kind of was the opposite to the start of the second half. What did you say to the team at half-time?
To try and keep the ball more, but we didn't. So it was definitely what we were trying to achieve, to dominate more of the ball. We were in a semi-comfortable position, not that you're ever comfortable in a game of football. But we wanted to take the sting out of the game, keep the ball, get it to our key players out wide, because I thought Lucas was causing them all sorts of problems early on in the first half, and as we said, Regan was as well, but we didn't quite get that going enough. And you've got to give Braintree a lot of credit as well, because they didn't allow that. They played our pitch fairly well. I think probably similar to their pitch at times. It's not great, is it, in terms of very sandy, difficult to control the ball, difficult to turn, so it allows them to get close to us. But they played some good stuff as well. Venning's in the centre of midfield for them. I thought orchestrated them really well. We know he's a good player from his time at Bromley. And I thought with the pace that they've got up front, they always pose a threat off Big Akinde, lads running off him. It's always going to be a danger for them because they've got some really threatening players, but full credit to our lads. They stuck to the task and they come out on top.
Well, Ethan Ross went down with an injury in the first half, feeling something in his right leg, managed to carry on, but of course made a fantastic double save in the second half that led to an injury. Have you got any update there on how he is?
Yeah, it doesn't look great, does it, the way he came off? Needed to be carried off, but he made a great save before he come off as well. And he's such a big player for us, so you never want to see him come off. You want him to get through things, but he's human. He's a human being. He's obviously in a little bit of pain. There's nothing that we're aware of in terms of that should be a major concern, but what we'll do, we'll scan him and reassure him if there is any doubts in his mind, if he's okay. But I'll certainly be having to look out for another keeper as well, because Harvey's dislocated his fingers. Louis did brilliant, by the way, when he come on. He looked all the bits that we're hoping Louis is going to be. He showed there today. His kicking was good. He made a key save himself. Looked really reassured, never looked flattered. I mean, the goal that beat him was an absolute wonder strike from Shea Cooper. I think that beats any keeper, to be fair. So it took a very good goal to beat him. So downside with Ethan, everyone's devastated to see an Ethan Ross coming off. He's a major player for us, but positive is our young keeper covered himself in glory.
Well, it was a perfect response to Ethan Ross going off as Alex Newby went down the right-hand side, played it across for Joe Nuttall. He made it 4 for the season and 3-0. Newby to Nuttall. Newby's assisted Joe Nuttall every single time he scored this season. Is that a partnership that's really starting to show?
I hope so. I hope so. And all the front lads get on really well. It's difficult because obviously young Carell's not got on today, so he'll be really upset and disappointed. And we've got Justin Amaluza in the wings as well, who we're sort of making sure we don't overdo it with him. He'll be absolutely fine. So we've got a lot of good front players. And that combination, whoever Alex plays with, he's going to find, because he's the best in the division at assisting. He chips in with goals himself, but that's his most valuable attribute to me. That's the bit that why I would play him every week, because he's the intelligent one, he's the unselfish one. I know he probably wants to be a bit more selfish at times, but they can't all be the goal scorer. You've got to have the goal creators, and he will come out this season on top of the charts for assists, key passes, without any shadow of a doubt in my mind.
Well, I have to mention what happened at the end with Matty Costello being sent off. A lot of people weren't quite sure what went on there. Can you sum up how you saw it?
I genuinely didn't see it. But if he's done what I've been told he's done and it's not allowed anymore, pulling the lads there, then listen, he will obviously suffer the consequences from myself. But I find it really difficult to have a go at any of my players, particularly if I haven't seen it, but I can't defend the undefendable if he's done something. So listen, I'll look at it back, and if it's what I think it is, then me and Matty will have a conversation. But yeah, not great if it is that. So Matty will know that himself, and he's a top pro, and he will stand up to whatever comes his way.
Well, on the positive side, 3 points back into the playoffs. Rochdale dropped points today, level on points with Halifax now with the same number of games played. How important is it that Alty keep on challenging there in the playoffs at the top half of the table?
It's imperative. Like I said, this season feels very reminiscent to the one where we had a late charge to get into the playoffs. But I think we've been consistent pretty much all season. We're looking really strong at the moment. I was worried about this set of 10 games because we were so strong last season. I thought this is the one where we might fall behind, but we've come good again. We've got a really tough run of away fixtures now. We've took advantage of our home fixtures. We've got some really difficult games: Oldham, Hartlepool, Gateshead. Really going to test the squad. You can see a lot of them were putting themselves through the ringer there, so recovery's going to be huge. The squad rotation's going to be massive, and lads, a bit like the period we had where we had Southend, Hartlepool away. I think we had another game, I can't recall it now, but there was 3 really tough fixtures where we didn't come out on top, but the squad was used. But that made us even stronger going into the back end, because the lads got the valuable minutes. Even though we didn't get the results on the road, people were all panicking, thinking that we're done and we're going to fall away. We've got a good squad, it will be used. If we don't always get the results on the road, it's because it's really, really difficult. Look at our home form, so it's difficult for teams who come here. This is the bit where we need the fans to be fully behind us, as they have. If we can get any form of away support like it's been showing, then it's going to help. But just be aware that this is going to be really taxing for the players, this next run of fixtures, not just because of the teams we're playing, because of the away travel that we're going to endure now.
Unbeaten in the last 8 then, and a massive top of the table clash at Boundary Park on Tuesday night. How important was it that you won this game today to bring the confidence into that one?
I think it was huge, because then going into Tuesday, it becomes almost a must-win game for us, where it shouldn't ever be that us v Oldham. Oldham are a huge club. Their following demands that they win every week. Their history, their league status demands that they win every week. They will expect to beat us, but we will go there fully confident that we can go and beat them.
Any messages for the fans ahead of that game on Tuesday?
Just come in your numbers, get behind us, sing your hearts out. Just remember all the good games that you've seen here and away. It's not always going to go our way, but listen, it doesn't get much bigger for us locally, geographically, size of club. Let's show how good we are, because they'll certainly turn up in their numbers.
Thank you very much, Phil.
Thank you.